Hey there, Mary Sheila here with BioYouth Labs, and I am just sitting outside on a fall day, and I planted my garlic the other day, which was very exciting. And this is one of the bulbs that I did not plant, but I grew last year, so that's one of the ways that I do it, as I save some of the good ones and try to replant them. But I want to talk a little bit about garlic and just flavoring our foods in general, because sometimes I hear from people, or I even see signs that, like, oh, healthy eating is so boring. And I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. That's not quite true. That is not quite true. Healthy eating does not have to be boring. And things like garlic or onions or anything in this family, like leeks and shallots and scallions, can all really enhance and add so much amazing flavor to the foods that we're eating. And so it doesn't have to be boring. And a lot of times, if we're doing things for our health, maybe we have high blood pressure or high cholesterol, or just we want to shed some pounds, we want to look at all the things that are added to our foods. And the best way to enhance our health is to really kind of clean up our diet and eat as whole and naturally as possible as we can, without processed foods and pre-made foods. And I know that's easy, and I also know cooking your own food does require more work and time and energy, and we don't always have it. It can be exhausting. We have to do it every day. I totally get it, and I get into those ruts myself. But I'm here to inspire you and to remind you how important it is, because how important you are and how important nourishing your body is. In our bodies, our physiology have really been used to, throughout our ancestral lineage, to be eating whole, unprocessed foods. This is very new for us to be able to buy pre-made things that can sit on the shelf for a long time and that are highly processed so that they can be sitting on the shelf for a long time. So a lot of that times that means there's different fats that are used that can be more shelf stable, but that also means they're damaging when they get on the inside, and that often has a lot to do with seed oils. Or there's preservatives put in that our body has to detoxify and process, and not everybody can detox and process them the same way. So for some people, they can cause detoxification pathway issues and maybe symptoms that we might have from them. Sometimes there's more salt added because salt is a preservative, and that can raise our blood pressure and not necessarily be beneficial to our own health goals. Or maybe there's more sugar added, right? Or if they take fat out of something, they add more sugar or salt, right? So it's kind of a vicious circle. And so to step out of that in a very simple and easier way is to eat more unprocessed foods. But it's also to flavor your foods in a really good way, right? And so something like garlic, right? Whether you chop it up and flavor your oil, your olive oil, let's say, or you roast it whole in with whatever you're roasting in the oven, which is so good when it gets all soft. However you can utilize using herbs, different herbs like parsley and cilantro and rosemary and oregano, and like fill in the blank, whatever's your favorite herb. Or maybe it's spices from your spice cupboard, right? How often are you utilizing those? And do you know that our first form of medicine came from spices and herbs? That is the first form of medicine. They have a very long lineage. And so we can utilize them when we say food is medicine, right? If we're eating whole foods and then we're adding herbs and spices, we are making our food, we are activating it to make it more digestive. We are adding things in there. When foods are more digestive, that means we're going to excrete more juices. We're going to get more out of our food. We're going to get more of the vitamins and minerals. Our body's going to be less reactive to that food. And ultimately, that food is going to even maybe be more anti-inflammatory. Like garlic is anti-inflammatory. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. Herbs and spices, almost all herbs and spices have an anti-inflammatory action, which I think is so great when we think of them that way. Like, wow, I can just add medicine to my soup. I mean, soup is very medicinal in my opinion. I can add medicine on top of my salad or on top of my stir fry or on top of my oatmeal, right? When you add like the cinnamon and maybe some clove powder or whatever it is that you like to add, or some nutmeg. I mean, it's really endless when we start thinking that way. And, when we start really thinking of our food as our medicine, like it helps us to um, like take more time and energy and care into nourishing ourselves. Well, hello, this is Ziggy. He wants to say hi. So I just want to just really inspire you to use your food as medicine. And I want to tell you a little story about garlic too, because I do have a good garlic story. So there's somebody, and his name is Chester Aaron, and you can Google him. He has since passed away in 2019 at the ripe age of, I think, like 989 or something like that. But he is a world renowned garlic grower, and he lived in my town of Occidental. And he was originally from, I forget, like somewhere on the East Coast, Midwest area, and he was also a writer, so he's written some amazing books. Like, I think my favorite is Garlic Kisses, but I have to be honest, I haven't read them all. But his books are so amazing. And anyway, so our book club read one of his books for our book club, and he came to the book club meeting, and with a whole bunch of women, and he's like, oh, I'm too tired to plant garlic anymore, I'm not going to do it this year. So there was a group of us, and we said, hey, we'll help you this year. So there were four of us. We called ourselves the Garlic Girls, and we went over once a week with him, and we helped him plant, and we helped him, prepare the soil, plant the bulbs, and then we helped him harvest. We just kind of went through the whole season together, and it was really, really, really fun, because after every session, we'd maybe plant for like, I don't know, a couple hours. It wasn't like, these 8-hour days. It was just a couple hours. We would plant with him, and then, or do whatever, and then we'd sit down and we'd have a cup of tea, and he always had this little garlic dip, or this little dip he'd crush, those crushers, all this extra garlic into it, and he'd have gluten-free crackers, and we'd munch on that, and it was really sweet, and it was a great experience. My daughter was little. I'd bring my border collie. He loved border collies. He wrote a bunch of young adult novels too, which are really good, so you could check out his work. Anyway, that is where I learned like this deep love and appreciation for garlic. I mean, I kind of already had it. I married an Italian. He thinks there's never enough garlic in a dish. But I learned how to plant it. I learned how to, cure it and all kinds of things. And I just really love garlic, and I love the medicinal aspects. I love that it is a blood pressure ally. I love that it is antimicrobial. And I love how accessible it is and how diverse. You can put it in so many different flavors. It's so, there's garlic that grows all over the world, all different kinds. So, when you're eating garlic, it is your medicine. It's antimicrobial. It's going to support your immune system. It has a lot of nitric oxide. It's going to help dilate your blood vessels. And it flavors your food. So if you've been told by your doctor to eat less salt, and you start using more herbs and spices and things like garlic and onions, you're going to have more flavorful food without just relying on salt. Salt, 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 right? You can use other things. So I hope that's inspiring to you. It's inspiring to me to get excited about certain nutrients and feel an appreciation for their lineage, for, the fact that, like, right, these seeds have been carried down through time, through our ancestors, through people, through farmers, and we can continue to eat them and plant them and know that there's medicinal benefits in our food. And if we start to really see our food that way, it gives us more appreciation, maybe a little more oomph to do right by our food and by our body and make a good, nourishing meal. And my secret to staying committed is always make extras, so you have planned over. So you're not just like, oh, that was great, that was a great meal, but now I got to cook the next meal. Like, make enough. And it's okay too sometimes if you make a great meal, or like a great pot of soup or a stew, and you eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 1 or 2 days in a row. Like, that's also okay. Do what you got to do. As long as, that doesn't sound horrible to you. It doesn't sound horrible to me, but I know that some people are like, oh, I could never do that. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to leave it at that. Eat your garlic, it's your medicine, and have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.